दोस्तों सोशियोलॉजी के टॉपर्स के मुंह से तो आपने बहुत बार सुना होगा कि उन्होंने स्लीपी के रिसोर्सेज यूज किए। तो लेकिन ऐसे भी कुछ टॉपर्स हैं जो सोशो ऑप्शनल से नहीं है। वो क्यों स्लीपी का नाम लेते हैं? दोस्तों हम स्लीपी क्लासेस में जीएस एक्सटेंसिवली कवर करते हैं। ना सिर्फ यूट्यूब में डेली 4 वीडियोस आते हैं दोस्तों वहां पर, बल्कि हमारे पेड मॉड्यूल्स हैं। आज भी भारत के मोस्ट कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव पेड मॉड्यूल्स सिस्टमैटिकली कवरेज करते हैं पूरे जो जीएस को, एंड मेंटरिंग भी अब तो शामिल है। दोस्तों मैं आपको इनवाइट करता हूं इस पूरी जर्नी में जो कि भारत के ग्रास रूट से क्रिएट कर रही है अब टॉपर्स।
हेलो एवरीवन, मेरा नाम केवी श्रीकांत है। मैं इंडियन फॉरेस्ट सर्विस 2022 एग्ज़ाम में ऑल इंडिया रैंक 1 हासिल किया था। इसी वीडियो में मेरा स्ट्रैटेजी प्रीलिम्स के लिए और ऑप्शंस के लिए मैं बताना चाहता हूँ। सो विल स्टार्ट अबाउट द strategy for the prelims. To give a brief about my strategy, my journey, I've started in my first attempt in 2020. In 2020, I have given civil service exam only. I don't know about the Indian Forest Service at the time. In first attempt, I cleared the prelims, but I couldn't clear the mains due to 28 marks cutoff. After that, I came to know about the Indian Forest Service and the nature of work that is being done by the Indian Forest Service and the responsibilities it holds. After seeing different IFS officers' work profile, I was very much interested in the nature of work, to conserve nature through social media and various Twitter accounts. I came to know about the nature of work done by the IFS officers, and from childhood I was interested in nature and nature related works. So I thought that IFS, why not give IFS as my main goal? So I have switched from the CSE to IFS as my main goal and kept the CSE as a backup. And from second attempt, my main goal is IFS. So I focused on IFS. As we all know, the main hurdle for the IFS is the prelim stage, and the mains is comparatively easy if you can clear the prelims, more grueling prelim stage. In prelims for IFS, cutoff goes 10 to 15 marks higher for the IFS. So we need to have a dedicated strategy to tackle the prelims. So my advice for all the Indian Forest Service aspirants is to take prelims into consideration and have a detailed strategy for the prelims. Because in my second attempt, I have given the prelims, but with the goal as IFS, but I couldn't clear the prelims itself, even for the civil services. In March 2021, I've prepared for the optionals. I've started preparing for the optionals for forestry and geology. I've also kept geology as my optional in the civil services also. Regarding my strategy about the prelims, I will say what I did. It may be a bit unconventional, but take it with a pinch of salt and use my strategy to make your own strategy. Do not follow my strategy or anyone's strategy for that matter. What I did was, for each of these 4 attempts, 3 attempts, and the 4th one recently I have gave, but I'm not giving mains. For these 4 attempts, the main strategy of mine is to read the current affairs magazines of Vision for last 1.5 years, and also do the test series for the Vision. And in addition to that, I gave focus to the previous year questions starting from 2009. I have did for each of these attempts. So to sum up, I have did Vision magazines, Vision current affairs magazines for 1.5 years, and gave thorough test series, and also learned from test series whatever mistakes I have done. And thirdly, I have given focus for the PYQs. In first attempt I could clear because in addition to the NCERT and standard books which I have read one time, I have done lot of practice through test series, through insights on India, daily quizzes. So in the first attempt, with this high practice, nearly 60 to 70 test series I have done, I was able to clear the prelims. But in the second attempt, I have the knowledge, I have the bit solving capability, but what went wrong is that I became little tensed in the exam. Studying for prelims is one thing, and giving the prelims with coolness is other thing. So you need to be cool while giving while in the exam hall. And the second mistake is I haven't focused much on the previous year questions in my second attempt. So these mistakes I have rectified for the third attempt and did the same the test series, the current affairs magazines, and the PYQs, and a lot of practice. What I did differently for this third time to clear the Indian Forest Service is that for the past 1 year, I have daily in the evening, I have the schedule of doing Insights on India free quizzes. There is 25 questions. I used to do those and also read the daily current affairs. This is my evening schedule for 1 hour for 1 year. So I haven't missed this one. So with this strategy, I've cleared my prelims in third attempt. Now I got a chance to appear for the Indian Forest Service mains examination. And recently given fourth prelims also, I've cleared both the Indian Forest Service and Civil Service examination. So do not ignore prelims for IFS aspirants, because I know a lot of my friends who are well versed in the main subjects like forestry and geology or whatever options they might have, but they couldn't clear the forest cutoff because it is difficult for civils only as it is right now. But getting 15 more marks extra in Indian Forest Service exam is a task. So have a detailed strategy for prelims. Focus on prelims before 4 months of the prelims. Give dedicated strategy to prelims, and daily give 1 hour for the practice, like I did for the Insights on India. So with this strategy, I have cleared prelims. So to take whatever you have learned from my example and inculcate in your strategies. So that is my strategy for prelims. Sir, to give brief introduction about the mains, I have my optionals as geology and forestry, and these have two papers each. In addition to this, we have English and also we have GK paper. So there are total 6 papers in Indian Forest Service. So to briefly explain my strategy for optionals, I will be doing it in another video. Now we will discuss about the general English strategy and GK strategy. Coming to the English strategy, people usually won't give much time for these 2 papers, and it can be done in 10 days. For English, I have given 3 days. What I did was to see the previous year questions of the IFS and the civil services, and I have did the grammar portion very well. What questions they are asking, from which concepts they are asking, like active voice, passive voice, direct, indirect speech, the errors in sentences, the idioms, etc. I have seen from the previous year questions. From these, I have solved these previous year questions. These topics I have learned from the internet or different sources. So I made my grammar strong, because in grammar, if you fetch marks, your overall score in English will improve. So first there is an essay, and whatever preparation you have done for the civil services will be sufficient for the essay, but give enough concentration towards the grammatical formation in the English essay. And coming to the letter and report writing, you have the standard formats available in the internet. You see these formats and learn how to write this letter and report. So just follow this format and you will get good marks. And thirdly, we have Prezi. For Prezi, you need to write it in your own words. Many times, many students will cut the actual paragraph and write the actual words in the Prezi, but it is not so. You have to write it in your own words. You have to condense to the 1/3 of the original words. So look in the internet how to write a Prezi, you will get a clarity. So for RC, it is easy reading comprehension. You have to answer the 5 questions. So for English, I have concentrated on grammar, and for the rest of the components, I have looked at the internet and formulated my strategy. And before giving the actual exam, I have practiced GK and English 1 time. So as far as the general knowledge paper is concerned, I have given 2 civil services mains. That knowledge have been used. I haven't prepared specifically for the Indian Forest Service GK paper. What I did was, again same, take the previous year questions, previous year papers, look at the topics from which they have been giving, and prepare history particularly, because history you need to revise before the exam to present more. Other rest subjects like environment, economy, polity can be covered and written from the preparation of the civil services and the mains 365 particularly I have done before going to the exam. So this English and GK nearly I have given 7 to 8 days. So it is not, you don't need to keep much importance in these two papers, but much focus needs to be given in the optional papers in the IFS exam. So I will be discussing the optional paper in the next videos. Regarding the interview, before going to the original interview, I have given 5 to 6 mocks at different institutes. I recommend giving mocks because you will know how you are expressing your views and how you are answering the questions. So definitely give mocks, analyze your video, look at yourself and see what are the mistakes that are being done and rectify them. For me, what I thought was important was you need to be confident in the interview, and you need to have a clarity and analysis of the topics which are being asked, and thirdly, you need to be honest in whatever answers you are giving. So with these three things in mind, I have given the interview. I've got low score. I thought the interview went well, but I've got low score. I've got 174 out of 300. So I might not be the best guide. So look at the toppers interview who got good marks. So that is my strategy for the interview. As I've said, prelims is the hardest step for the IFS aspirants. So do give good concentration towards the prelims. I've shared my strategy, and while attempting the paper, what I did was I did the paper in 3 iterations. First, I used to go through the paper in 1 hour 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Believe me, if you have done enough practice, you will complete the paper in 1 hour 10 or 20 minutes. And for 10 minutes bubbling, after that you will get 40 minutes for the rest of the questions which you have left. So in the first iteration itself, whatever I am confident, I used to mark those, and the doubtful questions I used to mark the most probable answer then in the first iteration itself. So in the second iteration, I used to do the interlinking of the concepts and the wide knowledge I have gained through this practice and current affairs magazines. I use this, I interlink, and I intelligently guess the options. Also the PYQs also will help a lot in solving the questions in the second iteration. So give focus for the PYQ questions so that you might be able to solve 5 to 10 questions in the original exam, and also use common sense in some questions. In prelims, what I want to emphasize is that you need to give good wider coverage for the topics you need to cover instead of the going depth into the some topics. So have this wide coverage, because for some questions, if you just know about the topic, you can answer. That type of questions you shouldn't miss. So have a wide coverage for the prelims. The questions like recently we have got aerial metagenomics. If you know what it is, you can put these questions. Aerial metagenomics, the AS9, etc. Some questions will be there where you just have to have just definition of that particular term. So have a wide coverage, which will be useful in the prelims. And for clearing the IFS cutoff, you should not mark the easy questions right. In my second attempt, due to I panicked in the exam due to the toughness of the paper, and I have marked the easy questions wrong. So you should not do that. Practice much more at home so that you will be calm while attempting the original paper. In third attempt, I have rectified this mistake and I have done well in the exam, even though the paper was hard. So whatever hardness the paper hits you on the day, be cool. With your fair share of practice of test series and PYQs, you can definitely get good marks in prelims, even with the latest prelims where they have eliminated the options. So have this wide coverage and have common sense, and do lot of practice for the prelims. You will definitely ace and clear the IFS cutoff. I have known many IFS aspirants only for aiming for the IFS but couldn't clear the prelims cutoff. So do give due focus for the prelims. So thank you DKT for giving me this opportunity to share my strategy with the aspirants so that it might benefit for the community, as I have benefited from the DKT.